Okay, scheduling apps can be a massive workflow hack for your accounting firm if you use them right. Just tell me what to use. I know that's why you came here, but hear me out. The thing is it's not about the app. It's about how to systematize the meetings you're willing to take and use the features of a scheduling app to build workflows around those meetings. We are making our meetings turnkey, and scheduling apps will help us get there. And the 6 most important things I need my scheduling app to do. Number 1, event types, okay? And I know that means see you later free tier, but as basic as this sounds, it is key. Your scheduler can't just be a single link or a 30-minute video or a 60-minute video link. No, event types need to be contextual to the work that is being done. New client discovery, tax return delivery, internal one-on-one. There ought to be a finite list of meeting types that you are willing to take. And the purpose of a meeting needs to be more than to talk for 30 minutes. In fact, a helpful exercise, hit pause on this one and just jot down a list of what are all the different types of meetings I've taken in the last month. And then think, how can I classify them into distinct types? And you may find that in the beginning, you're actually taking a lot of different types of meetings. But part of the goal here is to reduce, is for today to be the worst that it will ever be. How do we get from taking 10 different types of meetings to just 6 to just 3 meeting types that I can just crank on? And the event type, how you set that up in your scheduling app, helps you make these meetings the most turnkey they can be. One way it does this, pre-event workflows. What are the things that need to happen before a meeting can even kick off? Maybe for a discovery call, it's prior year tax returns, access to their accounting file, an agenda from a team member you're having a one-on-one with. Part of your meeting workflow actually needs to be like meeting prep. We don't do this enough. A bit of prep for meetings will make them much more valuable instead of just rocking up and being like, okay, what are we talking about here? For any given event type, you ought to be booking time to prep for that meeting, and you need all the info required to do that prep, right? So if a client books, say a 30-minute financial statement delivery meeting, you need to book yourself, say 15 minutes to prep. And because we've now standardized how all the info is gathered to prep for a meeting, the prep itself becomes easier to systematize because, spoiler alert, I'll give you a peek ahead here, making meetings turnkey is actually the secret to getting off the hook for more meetings, plugging other people into those meetings to run them. But I'm getting ahead of myself. The 3rd most important feature I'm looking for in a scheduling app, hidden events, some secrecy, because the wrong way to use a scheduling app for most of the people in your firm, get ready, is to put it in your email signature. That's right, I'm looking at you. Buddy, just think of all the people who have access to your emails. There is no combination of paywalls or anything else that ought to open you up to be willing to take a no context meeting from just anyone. We want control of our time. We want uninterrupted blocks of time to get our work done. When do we want it? Yeah. So tell me, why should we be soliciting taking a no context meeting with every single email that we send? So back to secrecy. What I actually want here is 2 things. Did he just put 2 things in the 3rd thing? I sure did. You can't do that. Number 1, all event types need to be hidden by default. There isn't a public booking page where someone can browse a menu of all the ways that they can meet with me. Booking pages only exist at private links that I have to give out for someone to have access to them. And number 2, one-time links. Now, the rub with private links is once somebody's got your link, they can go wild. You don't actually have any way to reel that back in. So what you actually want in most situations is to use a one-time link when sharing your calendar. Look out for this feature when you're picking your booking app. And please stop spamming your booking link out into the world. Your time is more important than that. Okay, number 4, I want my scheduling app to enable batching. There is so much research around how distracted we are each day. A big, juicy, uninterrupted block of time. Man, there is nothing better these days. And for most accountants, we need to maintain what is called a maker's schedule. There's an epic 2009 blog post from Paul Graham on this subject. I'll link it below. The difference between a manager's schedule and a maker's schedule. In short, the manager books meetings whenever they have availability. Arguably, their job is to hold meetings, keep things on the rails, entertain clients, and manage. But for the maker, meetings are a disaster. See how this quote lands for you. A single meeting can blow a whole afternoon by breaking it into 2 pieces, each too small to do anything hard in. Plus, you have to remember to go to the meeting. That's no problem for someone on a manager's schedule. There's always something coming on the next hour. The only question is what? I find one meeting can sometimes affect a whole day. A meeting commonly blows at least half a day by breaking up a morning or afternoon. But in addition, there's sometimes a cascading effect. If I know the afternoon is going to be broken up, I'm slightly less likely to start something ambitious in the morning. I know this may sound oversensitive, but if you're a maker, think of your own case. Don't your spirits rise at the thought of having an entire day free to work with no appointments at all? Well, that means your spirits are correspondingly depressed when you don't. Man, I could literally sit here and read you this whole blog post. It is so good. But it makes the point that neither calendar is like bad. It's when they run up against each other that it's a problem. Most powerful people operate on a manager's schedule, and they project onto makers the expectation that it isn't too much to book a block on their calendar. But because most accountants are makers, we're thinking about the project we need to get done. That's what we're focused on, and you know just how disruptive that next meeting can be. So the solution: protect how meetings are booked on the calendars of your makers. Now, I'm a maker. I design my calendar so meetings happen at the very end of the day. They actually book forward from the end of the day. If I have a lot of meetings, it can compress my day, but it doesn't disrupt my day. Just think about that. A calendar with 2 meetings randomly in the middle of the day versus a calendar with 2 meetings back to back at the end of the day. Oh my gosh, you're like licking your chops at that second day, right? Yeah. And I'd argue the worst thing that you can do when you start your day is open your email. Give away the highest energy version of yourself to solve someone else's problem rather than the stuff that you need to get done. Now, should someone check your inbox for fires in the morning? Maybe, and that's where you want to pull a team member in to help with your inbox, to do the job of monitoring so you don't have to leave it open all the time. Don't do that. We did a whole video on like inbox management tips. I'll link that. Once you pull somebody else into your inbox, you will never go back to doing it all yourself. So if you do a weekly one-on-one with a team member, bookend it. Don't split up their day. If the client needs to talk with you, give them time at the end of the day, not midday. Bigger picture, this is actually an argument for separating the roles of manager and maker in your firm. If your clients have nonstop access to your makers, they can just pick up the phone and call them. Your makers aren't going to get much work out the door, right? If they're constantly being interrupted. We did a podcast digging into the notion of having client relationship managers in firms recently, the upsides and downsides. I will link that as well if you want to check it out. Now, arguably the most valuable thing that a scheduling app can enable, just straight up having fewer meetings. Now, I'm a maker. I'm most productive when I'm working uninterrupted. And by getting more explicit about the types of meetings I'm willing to take and organizing them on my calendar in a way that's conducive to getting work done, that's going to save me some time. But because the job of most of you is to build the machine, the firm and the processes and the systems and the service lines, where do meetings fit into the fold of how work gets out the door? Well, meetings are often treated as the exception, like something broke, let's hop on a meeting. There's an unanswered question, let's stop what we're doing and talk about it. When in reality, meetings are part of the process, which means they can be standardized. Just like all the other tasks that go into getting work out the door, you can standardize meetings by getting explicit about the types of meetings your firm takes, locking down pre-meeting workflows, pre-meeting prep, even scripts for your team for how to run those meetings. And this is where meeting delegation, becomes possible. Yeah, buddy! If meetings are completely open-ended, if you're just raw dogging it, coming into them blind, then yes, you need all of your experience and riz and je ne sais quoi to think on your feet and dazzle those clients. It's actually the exact same thing we do with client work. Could you handle just about anything and everything a client could throw at you? Probably, but should you? Heck no. How are you going to systematize doing anything and everything for clients? Meetings are no different. They require a purpose. They're only available to certain people according to the service package they've engaged you in. And importantly, that selectivity and that limited availability can be the driver you need to enforce good client behavior. Because if you think of your clients as mice in a maze where something comes up and they're going to figure out the fastest way to the cheese, this means if you are equally as available to the client as the rest of your team, they're always going to want your cheese. If you are the only one on the team who will respond to a client's text, great job. You just collected all the clients who prefer text. They're just going to go to you. If you'll answer the phone when the client calls you out of the blue, they're never gonna email you again because they don't wanna wait through the inbox queue. I say this in the kindest way possible. They are mice running around in a maze of your creation. Don't design a maze that leads everyone to your cheese. Just stop with the cheese. The solution here is really a clear policy for expected turnaround times. Your team's turnaround times being faster than that of your own. Got kind of like a trickle-down thing where you're the hardest one to get to. I put together some tips for how to do that. I'll show it to you in just a minute, but first an ad break. You know what pretty much every person you meet with has? An accounting ledger. And if you're looking for a turnkey way to do meeting prep for someone with an accounting ledger, buddy, the way to do that, today's sponsor, LiveFlow. Okay, situation. New client discovery call. We're gonna show them some things, flex just a whiff of your expertise, using this Excel workbook that pulls a bunch of reports from the accounting system in a standardized format. Look at all these tabs. I literally click a button and it pulls the data from the QuickBooks or Xero file. Even works in Google Sheets too. Situation number 2, advisory call with the client. Well, look at this. LiveFlow's got over 100 report templates you can swipe. I like this one for forecasting cash stuff, but I have a meeting type that is monthly cash flow review. The people on my silver package have access to it. The client books a meeting. I schedule 15 minutes of prep time where I pull this data with one click, by the way, and I can hustle this sheet. I've got everything I need for the meeting. Do we need more situations? Man, loads of scenarios where syncing accounting ledger data out to a spreadsheet is mega helpful. This one, LiveFlow, works with Excel, Google Sheets, QBO, Xero. It even does consolidations. Roll up a bunch of companies with different charts of accounts with the click of a button. Really simply having this LiveFlow button in your Excel or Google Sheets, total game changer for your firm systems. Learn more about LiveFlow at the link in the video description. Okay, creating a clear policy for expected turnaround times. From my newsletter recently, check this out. The #1 driver of customer satisfaction for accountants. It is not technical ability, not your tech stack, not your website aesthetic. It is answering the phone, responding to emails, following through on your desired comms channel within the time frame your client expected. It is truly the path to getting clients off of your back and having uninterrupted time, nailing that expected turnaround time and communication flow in your firm. Grab that full article in the newsletter below and be sure to subscribe. It goes out every single week. And thank you so much for coming out and hanging today. You probably had work you should have been doing, but thanks for being here, you know? That means a lot to me. It really does that we got to spend this time together. Thank you.